What is up, everybody? Welcome back into another Superflex rookie mock draft for the 2022 season. And this team is actually really fun because I think it's a team that a lot of you out there watching might actually have, or is very similar, because it's a contending team that's a little bit older, gaining a little bit of age, has some older assets that are still very productive, but they haven't quite found everything or put it all together all at once. And you just kind of found yourself in the middle of the pack last year, which gave you kind of a middling or a weird like 107, 108, 109 type of draft pick this year in this year's class. So you're kind of wondering where to go from here and what direction to take with your rookie draft, what direction to take with your roster in general. So overall, I think this is going to be a really good video. So for this video, I'm grabbing a roster in the league from Nolan down in the comments. So Nolan, thank you so much for giving me your roster and your draft picks to draft as if I were you. So we can take a look at Nolan's roster. And like I said, this is a 10-team PPR Superflex league where he's got one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, two tight ends, a flex and a super flex, and then also has a defense and a kicker as well, because that league just hasn't quite kicked the defense and kicker off, but that's all right. Maybe try to work on that, Nolan. Taking a look at his roster, he's got Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones, I believe that's Zach Wilson, Davis Mills, and Tyler Huntley as well, so a very good quarterback group. He's got Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Antonio Gibson, Chris Carson, and then kind of some backups at the running back position. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, Hollywood Brown, Kadarius Toney, and then backups at the wide receiver position. And then he's got George Kittle and Dallas Goedert, and then Tyler Higbee in this two tight end league and defense and kicker and whatever. And then he also has a note down here that good, decent free agents are also available, like Trubisky, Albert O, Marlon Mack, Marcus Mariota. I think personally, Nolan, I would throw all of your fab at Albert O if he is down there, especially because this is a two tight end league. But Albert O, just in terms of value in just a normal league, is already a borderline tight end one in Dynasty, if not already to a lot of people a back end tight end one in Dynasty. So I'd definitely just throw all of it at Albert O, pick up all that value in that player, see what happens if he actually becomes productive, or sell him before the season if you don't even want to wait that long and don't even think he's going to be all that great. Just sell him beforehand. But I would absolutely, that'd be move number one I would do for you before your waiver wires go, is just throw all $100 of your fab at Albert O off the waiver wire. So let's move over to the draft board here, and you can see we basically just have the 7 slot. We got the 107, 207, 307, 407, and then also picked up an extra 4th round pick at the 4.09. So we can just get things going here, seeing how things kind of play out, because I would expect the first 6 picks off the board to be basically some combination of the top 2 running backs, the top 3 wide receivers, and then Kenny Pickett. So that's really where your decision at the 1.07 comes from, is deciding between kind of this second tier of wide receivers like Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, Sky Moore, Christian Kirk, George Pickens. Who do you pick out of that group? And for me, my advice to you would be basically just shooting for upside, right? Because you have a really good wide receiver core. You have, Cooper Kupp, you have Stephon Diggs, even Hollywood Brown, who I expect to be really good as like a wide receiver 2 this year, is going to be in your lineup more often than not. So really you need a player that is going to hit, and when he hits, that value is going to jump, but then also could also crack your starting lineup if he actually does end up producing well, which would make him a hit. So to me, out of this whole entire group, I think the player with the biggest ceiling has got to be Jameson Williams. So I love taking Jameson Williams at the 1.07 here. I think he's in a really good situation with the Detroit Lions, at least in terms of where they're going long-term. Jared Goff's not going to be the quarterback after the end of this year. So if they can get a player like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young at the top of the first round next year, that's really going to impact things greatly and benefit Jameson Williams with a strong R quarterback where he can be the wide receiver 1 for the Detroit Lions. So I like taking the upside shot on Jameson Williams there, and then seeing kind of what falls back to you at the 2.07, because, this is a 10-team league. So some of these players that we don't necessarily contribute to as like second rounders are second rounders because it's 10 teams and there's 2 less teams that are making a pick in the first round. So here at the 2.07, we basically have another decision here between some more wide receivers that I really like. Guys like Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis apparently went at the top of the second. That may or may not be true or accurate to what you see in your draft. That's how we're drafting here. So like I said, David Bell here, I think, is one of the biggest decisions that you have to make here with a young wide receiver. You also have John Mechie, Dameon Pierce, and Isaiah Spiller at the running back position. I think are 2 really strong players at the running back position this late in the 2.07. Don't necessarily like Pierce as much. I'd rather have Spiller. Trey McBride is also there as well too. Given that this is a 2 tight end league, I would absolutely be smashing Trey McBride at the 2.07. Not sure if he's really going to be there. Honestly, you might be laughing at me because you might be wondering if you should pull the trigger on Trey McBride at the 1.07 because of how your league values tight ends. Maybe that would be the case for you, but I wouldn't recommend taking Trey McBride even at the 1.07 in a 2 tight end league. If he's there at 2.07, I'm absolutely all for it. But I'm going to pretend that he's not there. I'm going to make this decision and this pick as if we're drafting from basically Spiller, Pierce, Bell, and Mechie. And to me, it's a pretty obvious answer. If you've been following any of my videos, this answer is David Bell. I absolutely love the day 2 draft capital for David Bell. Yes, it was a 3rd round pick, but still on day 2. Love the production from Purdue. Don't really love the athletic measurables, but I think that's all right because the landing spot with the Cleveland Browns as the wide receiver 2 for Deshaun Watson is a role and a player that we're going to want to invest in. And I absolutely think David Bell fits that role perfectly to a T as the next Jarvis Landry. So I absolutely love taking him there at the 2.07 to add to your wide receiver core and continuing to build out this youth on your team. So next up at the 3.07, looking at the players that we have available, you guys already know who it is and who my pick would be. It's Wan'Dale Robinson. This one's so easy. I mean, even in a 10-team league at the 3.07, that's still like getting Wan'Dale Robinson at the 3.03 in a 12-team league, which fits with his ADP. But I mean, come on, is this really where we're at with Wan'Dale Robinson, where I would rather take him, as like a mid-second? Like I would have taken him, where David Bell was taken if David Bell was not there. That's how much I love Wan'Dale Robinson. Love the round 2 draft capital. I think he's basically just a very similar player to Elijah Moore. You're just getting him a lot cheaper than what we got Moore last year. Absolutely love Wan'Dale Robinson. John Mechie is another player I think who could be in that conversation if Wan'Dale Robinson's not there. You also have Conte Ingram, Hassan Haskins, Tyrion Davis-Price was there too. Maybe you talk yourself into an upside shot on one of these rookie quarterbacks like Matt Corral or Sam Howell. You already have a really good quarterback group, so you might not have to go for that direction. But if Wan'Dale Robinson's there, I absolutely love going with that direction. So last up, we have the 407 and the 4.09. And again, these are just shots on players that we think are going to hit or at least gain some sort of value that you can sell later. You have a group here, I think, between Romeo Doubs, Greg Dulcich, Jerome Ford, Tyler Beatty, I think is fine too. Velus Jones, Snoop Connor, Kennedy Brooks, Danny Gray, all the way down here. I think a lot of these guys you have, a pretty solid decision to make between a large group of these guys that if you like any of them, I'm absolutely on board with, especially if you want to go with the upside shot of Greg Dulcich in this 2 tight end league. I'm all for that as well. To me, I think my 2 picks here would actually end up really just being Romeo Doubs, I think, as the second rookie wide receiver drafted by the Green Bay Packers. We're already hearing that Christian Watson struggling a little bit in minicamp, a little bit of a drop problem, hand problem. We already know that he kind of had a limited route tree coming into the NFL. So maybe Romeo Doubs ends up being the best rookie wide receiver that the Packers take in this 2022 class. I don't know. I'm willing to take the shot there. I like the player. I like the profile. The other one here, Velus Jones, I think is a good pick as a day 2 pick to the Chicago Bears. Laugh at him all you want. The fact that he's like 37 years old as a rookie and should not have been taken in the 3rd round. He is the Chicago Bears wide receiver that they prioritized and drafted with that pick. So I think he honestly has a really good opportunity on that depth chart, on that roster, to be the wide receiver 2 across from Darnell Mooney on the Chicago Bears as a deep vertical threat for Justin Fields. So I like taking the shot there. To me, I think I'm just going to take Greg Dulcich. This is a 2 tight end league. Maybe he is or is not there at the 4.07. If your league values tight ends like that, because it is 2 tight end, but I'll take the shot on Greg Dulcich. Still go after Alberto, though, on your waiver wire, because I do think Alberto has a good opportunity to be a really good tight end 1 for Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, or at least, spend all your fab and then ship him off for a 2nd round pick or a running back or a wide receiver or something like that. At the very least, seems like free money there on the waiver wire. And then you still have Greg Dulcich to see if you wanted to kind of hedge your bet with the tight end position on the Denver Broncos. Ultimately, I like what we were able to do for your team. We were able to inject some youth into your roster, into your wide receiver core specifically, which is really going to help you to continue to be competitive on down the road if Jameson Williams hits, if David Bell does well, if Wan'Dale Robinson is the player that I expect him to be, especially getting him at the 3.07, that's going to be fantastic for you. So just continuing to add youth, build for the future while still maintaining competitiveness right here and now. And hopefully you can win yourself a championship in 2022. So Nolan, thank you so much for offering up your roster and your league, your draft picks. Hopefully this helped you out. to everybody else out there, I hope this at least gained a little bit of insight into my thought process and my thinking overall as I'm making these picks on the board. And especially if you are still waiting for your rookie draft to happen and you find yourself in a similar type of a roster situation where you're a little bit older, still competitive, not really sure what to do with your roster, your draft picks, hopefully this helped you out here altogether. So thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already for more awesome content from the DLF YouTube team. Drop a comment down below if you agree or disagree with me on any of my picks. And with that all being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch y'all later.